Hello friends, welcome back to our channel UiPath by Sujitha. In this session, we are going to cover dynamic selectors. One of our subscribers requested videos or practice sessions on dynamic selectors. So keeping beginners in mind, we would like to cover these basic concepts. So before going to that, thank you so much for your valuable support, huge response to our videos. Thanks for that. And now, selectors, dynamic selectors. Before going to dynamic selectors, a quick recap on selectors. We already covered many videos on selectors, right? If you have not yet watched those videos, please go to our channel and type for selectors. Or you can watch the entire playlist named selectors in our channel. Okay, so a quick recap for the beginners. Selectors are nothing but the UL fragments which has the path to identify a specific UI element in any application, whether it is a web or desktop application, right? Now, coming to a situation where there is any change in the application with respect to the version, or if a new element been added to the page or the application, or if there is a configuration saying for each reload or refresh, the element position might be keep on changing, right? In all these aspects, in all these situations, the path, the XML fragment, whatever you captured in your code to identify the UI element may not work properly as expected because of the change in the attribute values, because of the change in the ID values in your selectors. It may not work according to your expectation in some situations. To avoid that, we need to make our selectors very dynamic enough to specific, so that it will work in any situation, right? If your selector is going to work in all the situations, your code, your automation is 100% reliable, right? So now, coming to the approaches, how best we can do this selectors dynamic. We have three different approaches. One is wildcard, and one is using variables, and the other one is IDX, index value. Now we have already covered a video on wildcards, how to edit selectors using wildcards. We have two symbols, wildcard symbols, that is asterisk symbol and a question mark symbol, where we can replace 0 or more characters in the value in the sense attribute value string with the asterisk or question mark. Question mark will be for one character and asterisk could be 0 or more characters. So that way we can use wildcards in order to make our selectors dynamic enough. Now let us concentrate on variables part. In this video, we are completely working on variables. How to make these selectors dynamic using variables. Please quickly make a note of whatever you are learning through this video, so that it will be easy for you to refer it back again whenever it is needed. Please don't read or don't learn just for the sake of interview. It is always advisable to understand the concept, go through the complete video, practice along with me, and if it is needed, come back to this video again and again when you practice. Okay, that way you can gain the knowledge on the concept so that you'll never get confused. So please make a note of this. Dynamic selectors. Dynamic selectors are when we use the dynamic value of a variable, dynamic in the sense keep on changing, right? Dynamic value of a variable in a selector to correctly identify the UI elements. So this is what is called the dynamic selectors. Now, how we are going to use this, how we are going to make the selectors dynamic? Using variables, right? Using variables. So what we are going to do, we are going to replace the string value with a variable. Which string value? Attribute value with a variable. So what we are going to do, replace the value of an attribute with a dynamic variable. Both are same, right? Now quickly open your studio and let us start a practice session. Okay, now you remember this WI application which we discussed in our many videos, right? This is the application which is provided by UiPath for practice purpose. If you want this link, I can share this link in the description box of this video. Okay, so now we have covered many videos in this to fill cache in honest check, not honest check, right? So also one practice session where we are reading some data from an Excel and using that data in order to fill these fields, right? Also we are capturing transaction number after filling each one entry. So in continuation to that, or we can use the same kind of Excel file where, let me open this, see, where there are few columns with cache in, honest check, not honest check values. Along with that, there is one more column, say use cache count option, where it has the different cache count options available. So now the agenda is, this is what I'm talking about. So now the agenda is, along with, before you use this data to fill these values, fill these fields, you are supposed to read this particular column and select the radio button accordingly. Okay, select the radio button accordingly. Earlier it was like this, so you are supposed to check this box and read this particular row value, right? For each row, read this particular column value and then use select the radio button. Okay, fine. So this is the agenda of this practice session. So quickly open your studio, create one separate sequence, rename the activity whenever it is needed, and also it is always advisable to have an annotation wherever it is needed, so that it will increase the readability of the project. You'll come to know about this usage or the importance of annotations and renaming the activities when you start working for big projects. Okay, fine. So now first we are supposed to use read range activity, because we need to read the data from the Excel file. Okay, read range workbook. I'll go for workbook. Let me get the Excel file. This is my Excel file. Okay, let me close this file. Okay, try again. Done. Now let me give the sheet name, sheet 1. Okay, I am keeping this range empty because I want that to be I want to read complete sheet 1. Okay, now let us use for each row to traverse through each and every row in the current one. We forgot to create this, right? Control, yeah. In read range, let us give this output to dt input data. Okay, and also see add headers, because we have headers in our Excel file, right? So make sure that you use this checkbox. Okay, so just enter, and now in for each row in data table, I'm going to pass this input data. Fine, let us rename these activities. For each row, dt input data. Read data from Excel. Right. So now the current row is having each current row value data, right? Now what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to go for our WI application and then first use this, we are supposed to select this checkbox, use cache count, right? For that, go for a checkbox. Indicate this on screen. Let me indicate this on screen. Okay. What I'm going to check here. Let me rename this. Use cache count. Fine. Now, just go to the properties of this activity. You could see something called target. Just open this target and you could see selector field. Under selector field, just click on this this symbol, three dots are there, right? Just open that. Selector editor will be there, a separate window where you could see the automatically generated selector. We already learned that selector is nothing but an XML fragment which will be auto generated when you indicate an element using an activity, right? Now that we have used the check activity and indicated the button here on the screen, it has automatically generated this selector. If you carefully look into this particular piece of selector, it says it has an attribute called name whose value is very specific to use amount. Why? Because if you go to this application, we have indicated this specific UI element which is nothing but use amount. So this is how it being generated, right? Now coming back to our Excel file, if you consider this first row, the cache count option is use both, and the second one it is use piece count, third one use amount. So it needs to be work for all these options. Our selector should work dynamically for all these values, right? So let us quickly go back to our selector. If you see here, it is use amount, right? So now how to make this this value as dynamic? We have multiple options, right? Like using index, variables or wildcard. Let us consider the wildcard approach. If we use asterisk symbol instead of that amount, because if you see here, all these options, these three options has use word as common and rest of the part is something different. So if you use asterisk symbol, will that work? No, because executor will get confused. Executor may confuse which option to go, because this particular, say suppose in first row it is use both, right? Selector is okay, use both, so instead of both this asterisk is fine. Now coming back to here, there are use asterisk, use asterisk, three symbols, three fields, three UI elements which suits to this particular selector. So ambiguity is there, right? So it may get confused, it may not get decided which one to choose, because there are three options which fits to this particular selector. Selector should be very specific and at the same time it should be dynamic, right? Now let us come to the next method, next approach, that is dynamic variables. Okay, passing variables to make the selector dynamic. So how to pass a variable here instead of using wildcards or instead of passing a constant value? Now let us go back to our code. Use an assign activity. Just have one variable. I already created a variable, that is str cache option. So what I'm catching here is I'm going to use this variable. This is nothing but our first row, right? Current row. Current row. Let me open this in bigger screen. Okay. Current row of which column we are going to read? We are going to read the last column here. That is nothing but use cache count option column, right? Now let us come back here, right? ToString. That's it. So whatever value is there for that particular row, when it is going for a first row, it will be saved into this str cache count option. Now this is our dynamic variable where for each row the value will be changing, right? That is why this become a dynamic variable, and now we are going to pass the same into our selector. Since that we have used amount earlier, now I'm going to replace this value using our variable. How to replace? I just cleared the value now. Just click Ctrl K. So you could get this prompt asking for variable name. Just use this button here and the listed variables can be selected here, right? Confirm. That's it. Our dynamic variable is ready. Just click on OK. Now just save this and let us run this. Okay. Just make sure that your WI is there. Yes, run this. So it is supposed to click the use space count, use amount, or use both radio options. See, after reading from the Excel. Done. Our purpose is fulfilled. The same selector, only with this one single activity, it is able to select. It is able to work for different UI elements. Different UI elements in the sense this is one UI element, this is one more, and this is one more, right? Now that way we have make our selector as dynamic, right? Now quickly finish our workflow. So let us quickly use some type into activities to fill the data, other fields, okay? 3 fields, right? One is cache. What is that? Let me open this. Yes. Okay. Yeah. One for cache in, honest check, and not honest check. So quickly indicate this element for cache in, and then this for honest check, and one more for not honest check. Let us quickly give these values as well. So let us use the first column. Okay. So this is out of scope, but let us finish this part, this workflow, so that we can make sure we will be confident enough that we have completed one task. Okay. So this is going to be the cache in, and then second one will be the honest check, right? Let us copy that as well. This one, second one will be the honest check. Let me give for the second type into field. So this way we are making sure that all these values are dynamic now. So now next is not honest check. So let us just go back to this and not honest check, right? So after finishing this, we are supposed to click on the, just use a click activity and indicate it on screen. This one, to click on the accept button. Okay. So use this and not this. Yeah, this one. Okay. So fine. Now let us close this Excel file and just run this workflow. So if you could see here, it is supposed to enter each row data here, right? Next, it has selected use piece count in the option radio option and giving the data and clicking on accept, right? You can understand the difference, right? You can observe the difference here. So this way we can edit our selector in order to pass different values. That means to make it dynamic, right? So you got a clear understanding on how we can pass variables into selectors to make the selectors in order to work for different UI elements. That means dynamic selectors. Understood? So I hope this is very useful for you if you are confused about the dynamic selectors, and let us use some more workflows in our coming videos. We can do more and more practice sessions on the dynamic selectors whenever we get some time. So if you like this video, please give a like and share with your friends and colleagues. Also, please do subscribe our channel so that you can get the video notifications. Also, don't forget to click on the bell icon and select the all option, right? Fine. So thank you so much for your support so far. Meet you through our next videos. Until then, keep learning and happy automating. Bye bye.